Hi friends, today we are going to discuss a poem, The Harp of India, written by Henry de Rossio. Henry de Rossio is said to be the first sonneteer in modern Indian English, and this poem, Harp of India, is a sonnet. The Harp of India is an unconventional sonnet having a rhyming scheme A B A B B A B C D C D C B B. The poem is divided into two parts. Problem is raised in the first part and its solution in the second part. This is a nostalgic poem by Henry de Rossio. Though half British he is, de Rossio loved India deeply. This poem celebrates the magnificent Indian past and laments over the loss that is caused by the British rule. The poet hoped India would regain its past glory. The poem ends with a hope that one day India will regain its glory. The harp is a symbol of the glorious poets of ancient India who got suppressed under British rule. In the first part, the poet laments the loss of glory of the past poets of India. And in the second part, he hopes for the glory to be regained. If you want to know something more about the sonnet or something more about Henry de Rossio, you may please watch the video which is already published in this channel. The link for this video will be given in the description box. Okay, let's listen to the poem, The Harp of India.
Why hang'st thou lonely on yon withered bough? Unstrung forever must thou there remain. Thy music once was sweet, who hears it now? Why doth the breeze sigh over thee in vain? Silence hath bound thee with her fatal chain. Neglected, mute, and desolate art thou, like ruined monument on desert plain. Oh, many a hand more worthy far than mine, once thy harmonious chords to sweetness gave, a flower still blooming on the minstrel's grave. Those hands are cold, but if thy notes divine may be by mortal wakened once again, harp of my country, let me strike the strain.
Now we can analyze the poem in detail. The poet begins with the question, why hang'st thou lonely on yon withered bough? The word thou refers here to the harp, and more specifically the people of India, and in deeper sense to the poetry and art of India. The poet is wondering over the lonely hanging harp on a dry and dead bough and asks for the reason. Thus, in the beginning of the poem, it is full of sadness and melancholy. The poet is lamenting on the loss of glory and the past creative artists who have been forgotten now. In next line, the poet imagines with deep grief that it will remain there forever without its string. So just like the dead branch, the harp is also dead. The poet says that once, when it was not unstrung, the music was quite sweet and it used to have sweet melodies. Now the strings are removed, it cannot have any music, and no one listens to it anymore. The harp is too old to be played now. The ancient poets produced sweet melody in the form of their poems, Now they are dead, and their verses are no longer sung and remain dead to the present generation. Nobody hears it now. The poets whose poetry and melodies were sweet have lost their glory in the British rule, and thus they are unstrung. Nobody listens to them now because of the development of modernity due to the intervention of the British. And even little hope and struggle cannot make them right again. Even the breeze on air which passes by the harp cannot wake it up, or in other words, cannot play it. Silence here refers to the metaphorical death of their poetry. According to the poet, by restricting them from writing, the British has made them like the ruined monument in the desert, which is neglected, silenced, and exiled. The second part of the poem begins with a morning tone, yet end with a hope. The speaker shifts his interest from the harp, that is the musical instrument, to the one who used the harp to sing melodies, that is the poets. The speaker points out the past poets before him whose poems were more worthy and melodious than his. He says that those poets produced outstanding poetry that would make the listeners enjoyable. Though these poets are now dead, yet their works have kept them alive and immortal. Because of their work, they are always honored and will be honored in the coming ages. Hence, even after their death, they are still alive, just like the flowers still blossoms on their graves. At the end of the poem, the poet refers to the past poets and called them as called hands. However, the speaker desires to revive the past literary works of those ancient poets and hopes that by reviving that works in India, the glory will also be revived. Let's have a look on the theme discussed in this poem. Colonization. The only reoccurring theme of the poem is colonization. The poem is written in the 19th century. During that era, the world, particularly India, was going through the period of colonization. The British rule has drastic impact on people and literary developments. The poet in the poem refers to the instruments as withered or dead, and he says that they are untouched for years, resulting in its rusting. Before the arrival of British Empire, the poetry produced in India has an idealistic tone, making the music beautiful. Yet after they are empowered by others, the beauty is lost, and the poets have stopped practicing due to the restrictions imposed on them. The poet highlights the importance of a culture that was lost because of colonization. With the loss of culture, the beauty and worth of those poets also diminished. The development and modernization by the colonizers made the colonized to adopt their way of living and assimilate in their foreign culture. The natives lost their identities and are oppressed. Now it's the time to have a deep look into the terms used in the poem. The first term it is the harp. In India, the harp was the first drum performed by the Tamil people around 200 BC as recorded by the Sangam literature. Bearing this pressure of thought, we might also associate De Rossi has used harp as a way to portray the abundant and various culture and customs that India possessed and which were now being suppressed by the British rule. The poet seems to echo the reverberation like In the third line, thy music was previously sugary, who hears it now, implying that the rule of English was actually a foil to the India's own local history, and the rhythm and music of such a rich tradition has been subdued, if not completely erased. There can be other speculations as to the reason De Rosier has used harp rather than any other tool in its place. One, it is Bengal itself got an extremely interesting harp culture in its history, and thus when he has written this poem, he was there in Bengal. Another speculation is that harp was one of the most important musical instruments of De Rosier's country of source. That is, it had an important role in Portugal from 16th to 18th century. The harp was found in churches for religious ceremonies and discourses related events. Since De Rosier himself was partly of Portuguese origins, can the harp mean a projection of his origins? The first line of the poem can be interpreted in two ways. One, it is with the connection of the title, that is, we have already discussed harp is the culture, lost culture of the poems we have written or our ancient poets have written. Then another view we can get it as the personification of the Indian natives who are being hanged by the British rule in the withered India. In the third line, the poet says, "Who hears it now?" The poet, in order to mention both these contrasting emotions in a justifiable manner, has used a hyphen. In 5th to 7th line, we can see imageries, metaphors, personifications, and some other literary devices. Then in 8th, the poet seems to be more conscious while framing this line. The poet is waiting for the reader to come to the point what he mentions. In the first 7 lines of his sonnet, De Rosier underscores his unhappiness and displeasure. And from 8th collection onwards, there is a certainly complete notice of optimism. In colonized India, there was a great requirement to instill the self-confidence in natives contrary to the British rule. De Rosier himself wishes to take up such a chance to make the Indians evoked. And that's why there is almost a great urgency portrayed by the poet for the revival of each Indian's mind. The poet seems impatient to release India from its destined form, and this is shown from the utilization of the exclamation following the end range. Let's try to analyze the literary devices used in the poem. First one, it is metaphor. From the title, the word harp itself is a metaphor for the glorious past of ancient India. Then another word, it is silence. It is metaphorically referring to the ancient poets' poems. While coming to the end of the poem, we can see another word, hands, which is a metaphorical representation of the ancient poets. Next, it is a simile. The line, neglected, muted, and desolate art thou, like ruined monument on desert plain. Here the word like is mentioning, it is a simile. Another literary device used in this poem is personification. Throughout the poem there is personification for the harp, and in between personified embrace, and even death is personified. In the last line given here, the word silence or death is personified. We have to read this poem along with the Bengal movement, the Young Bengal movement. This movement established a group of free radical thinkers. Later they were known as De Rosians. And the number of De Rosians were drawn to the Brahma Samaja, and it was there in the history of India. That's all about today's class. Thanks for watching.